Hello, everyone. Thank you to those of you who have joined Creatio's webinar so far. We're going to give our participants just one more moment to join here, and if you could kindly indicate in the chat section that you can hear our speakers, we would greatly appreciate it. In just one more moment, we'll get rolling. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for Creatio's webinar. Today is a special occasion because we will be discussing ideas about accelerating automation of a B2B line of businesses in telecom with minimal resources. My name is Creatio, and I look forward to joining one of my colleagues as we discuss some of our unique capabilities at Creatio in greater detail to support this unique need. We hope to make this a very interactive discussion today, so we welcome you to post all of your questions in the chat section throughout the webinar. Following the discussion today, we will be providing all registered participants with a recording of the webinar, and we'll also follow it up via email with any unanswered questions. I'm joined by my colleague today, Nandish Manapani. He is a Enterprise Solutions Manager at Creatio.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Thanks so much for joining me, Nandish. So on our agenda today, we'll be discussing the company, Creatio, and we'll introduce our speaker, Nandish, in a bit more detail and tell you a bit about his background and experience with Creatio. Followed by a discussion about communications of the future, the trends and opportunities. Next, we'll talk about why low code is helpful for businesses right now, for telecom businesses, excuse me. Then we'll talk about how low code scales operations and improves service delivery, followed by that Q&A discussion that we mentioned previously. Again, we hope to make this a very interactive discussion today, so we invite you to post all of your questions throughout this webinar today. And while this will be a reminder for many of you or just some background information, we do want to provide each of you with a good understanding of who we are and what we do at Creatio. As many of you know, we were founded in 2002, so we've been on the market for 17 years. We have over 650 employees operating in 5 global offices worldwide. We have a robust and continuously growing channel network of over 700 partners, and this robust channel network and large group of employees help us to deliver our solution in over 110 countries around the world. We're also highly recognized by key industry analysts, including analysts from Gartner and Forrester, and I look forward to sharing a bit more information on this analyst recognition as we continue to grow it in the future. We are included in 7 Forrester Waves as a strong performer. 2 of these Forrester Waves really speaking to our low-code and process automation capabilities, and 5 of these waves speaking to our CRM and SFA capabilities. This is a tremendous accomplishment for us, as it's a very big deal to be included in just 1 Forrester Wave, so we're very proud to be included in 7. We are also recognized in 5 Gartner Magic Quadrants. We are a leader in the Magic Quadrant for Salesforce automation and a leader in the Magic Quadrant for CRM lead management. We are also included in 2 Magic Quadrants that speak specifically to our low-code and business process management capabilities. And just to quickly emphasize Creatio's vision and tie in our differentiators here, we believe that Creatio has created a world where everyone can automate business ideas within minutes. So users with little to no coding experience can automate processes and simplify daily tasks across business units. And we accomplish this through our core differentiators, which we now refer to as our Creatio superpowers. And those are our unified CRM to align sales, service, and marketing, our business process engine to help telecom companies streamline processes, and our low-code platform, which allow everyone to be a developer. Now, I'm going to hand it off to Nandish so he can discuss the trends and opportunities. So Nandish, looking forward to this discussion.
Yeah, thanks so much, Corey. And actually, it was good afternoon, not good morning, like I said earlier. Didn't realize it was right on the dot at 12 p.m. But hello, everyone. Good afternoon once again. Name is Nandish Marapadi. I'm the Enterprise Solution Manager here at Creatio. Some of you probably already have seen me do a couple of other webinars. Very excited to be talking about telecom in particular. What is interesting to me is just before this webinar, about an hour earlier, I was actually speaking to a telecom prospect and some of the key challenges that they're facing. Interesting thing about that prospect was that they have complete domination for the last 50 years or so because they've been serving mainly the rural areas, but because of the pandemic and everything that is going on recently, they are seeing a lot of competition from the likes of Spectrum in particular. You know, Charter and Spectrum have become a big player, and now they're going into the rural areas where traditionally they have not seen businesses in the past. But so what I'm trying to highlight is that a lot of trends are changing that is requiring a complete offset or a complete chaos in the telecom industry. So when we really take a step back and see what is going on from a reality perspective, and these days, obviously, with the COVID-19 situations, things are evolving rapidly day by day. Economy is something that we know is it's not in a great shape like it used to be. So what that eventually simply means that as a consumer, you're now looking at every dollar that you're spending on things, needs versus wants, right? Personally, from my own experience, right about earlier this year, not that I had a vision of COVID-19 upsetting anything or anything like that, but I've been thinking about moving away from cable TV, moving more into the streaming devices, right? And as and when those streaming was happening, I started looking at my expense from what I was spending at Verizon on my end and started cutting down from what was about $150, $160 a month to about $100. Obviously, I increased the internet speed. So from a telecom perspective, what that means is the telecom companies are facing revenue shortfalls, right? People like myself cutting $40 per household, and they are serving millions of households, and that is a significant loss of revenue. But at the same time, I'm also increasing the internet speed. But for telecom companies, what that means, they have to do a lot of capital expenditure moving from 4G to 5G, and they have to recover that cost over next subsequent years while making sure that they are keeping their operating expenses in a with an eye on the operating expenses. So what that means from Creatio perspective, or at least from a sales and marketing perspective, is that they need to go and attract new customers. They need to attract, through marketing efforts, through upsell, cross-sell, and also from a service perspective, they need to start looking into chatbots and start cutting on expenses as well. So there's a lot of things that is happening on the telecom side, and that was somewhat validated as I was having that conversation with my prospect just about an hour earlier. Now, on top of everything that was going on beginning of this year, COVID-19 has made things even much more accelerated, right? We have heard of Netflix and chill, but basically everybody is on Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus of late. And also they're making a lot of these streaming or OTT relevant shows. So what that means is right now, as I am doing this webinar, my wife is working from home using internet. My kids are on internet watching some shows on Netflix or Amazon Prime. So there's a rise of network demands that I am placing on Verizon. And just not me, everybody is doing that worldwide. So how is telecom industry going to take care of that? So what we have just realized is that along with water, air, food, and shelter, telecom, especially from our internet speed, has become table stakes these days. Everybody is working from home. I visited my Creatio headquarters on Monday. There were about 5 of us. The rest of the team is still working from home. Even though the offices are technically open, people are still not comfortable coming to the office. So working from home is, I think, going to be the next normal. Face-to-face meetings. We had another prospect in Florida that wanted us to visit and do the demo on site, and we actually pushed back. This is probably the only time that we have pushed back on the customer not to come on site and do the demo, most of the time as salespeople, we want to be face to face, right? So these are all coming into virtual conferencing. But all the time, what this eventually means is that telecom industries are going through every bit of transformation like every other industry is. Growth is at a premium, revenue is at a premium, and they are looking at other areas to make things much more operationally efficient. And the solution that we are seeing is that more and more telecom companies, and not just telecom, but every other companies, are looking at low-code technologies to make things simpler for them. So let's take a look at why low-code is of importance to telecom industry and for any other industry for that matter. So first of all, we got to back it up with data. And some of you might have seen this as well. So number one is that IT resources can get very expensive, right? Because they have certain skills, they are probably engineers, and therefore they are much more expensive. But on the other hand, people who are facing customers on a daily basis, whether that be salespeople, sales manager, marketing, or customer service, they need not necessarily be engineers, but they do have a good sense of what that business processes need to be. And in order to do those business processes, if we give them tools that they can simply build business processes without the need of any deep programming requirements, as long as they have logic, then they will be able to do that on their part-time. So what that means is there's going to be an offset on cost as far as making those business processes or even low-code applications themselves. So when you give tools that are faster, and especially to the business people, they'll be able to build applications faster as well. So we have noticed about low-code development being about 20 times faster than the traditional development. And there's, of course, a shortfall of developers themselves. So if you can offload that to low-code developers, you're going to see that benefit very rapidly. We saw a quick example of that in New York City. So when the pandemic hit, they were able to stand up an applications in less than 72 hours. That is pretty fast when you think about the amount of people that was consuming that applications. And I read another report that by 2025, about 60% of the new applications will be low-code. So we are trending in the right direction, and as Creatio, we've been invested a lot in the low-code themselves, low-code technology, particularly on the business process side. So what I'm going to do in the next 30 minutes or so is kind of walk you through some of the key areas in which in where we can do all of these low-code applications. But before we get there, I believe I have a couple more slides, particularly on the telecom side, that we can help you with. So when you're looking at marketing or sales or project management, we can take all of those business processes and make it much more efficient. So for today's particular demo, we're going to focus on sales, marketing, and also customer support, mainly on the outbound side, all in terms of generating new leads or following up on lead nurturing and so on and so forth. And also time permitting, we'll take a look at employee onboarding because that is another important topic for us. So with that, let me switch over to the demo. Corey, if you can give me controls for the screen, please. Thank you. All right, Corey, can you tell me what do you see? Do you see the Creatio application?
Yes, I do.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, so for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk you through what we have done from a low code and what are some of the key areas in which you can build these low code applications. First things first, when I was talking to a telecom company that I was mentioning earlier, they were more focused on coming up with new prospects. So where they are seeing new businesses is not on the traditional cable. Like I mentioned earlier, people are getting rid of their cable devices, but they are seeing a lot more interest in smart homes, right? So everybody is having an Amazon Echo device or a Google Home device or what have you. But they also want it to be connected so that you're becoming more efficient in terms of switching light on, lights off, and things like that. So what is important here from a marketing perspective is the ability for us to target key customers. So you want to go after their existing, for example, with this particular customer, they wanted to go after charter customers, right? So new customers or current customers who may have something else. So what we can do in terms of low code is the ability to create customized email templates. So for example, in this case, we are looking at customers who are existing customers of this company, but are also looking at getting new products, or if they are completely new customers, you can see that they have a completely different view of what this email looks like. So from an email perspective, we have what we call as a dynamic content. So let me switch over to the email side and give you what that template looks like. Let me open up the designer. As and when the designer opens up, so basically you'll be creating everything to the low-code technology of drag and drop. So each of this is a block, and within this block, you have the ability to define who has access to view this. So from a cross-selling perspective, this view is available to anybody who is a current customer. And if they're a new customer, that means the type is not equal to a customer. That means anybody who's a prospect or a lost customer, or however you tag them, they will be able to see them. So cross-sell, so you basically take each of these blocks and define, should this block be visible to cross-selling, or should this block be visible to new customers? So that's how simple it is for you to create a dynamic content using low-code, no-code technology. So if you want to make modifications to this a particular template, you simply drag and drop a new block, for example. And in a new block, you'll be able to create new text, drop a new text, and then say, and then type in whatever information that you want to say. This is only visible to, for example, current customers. That's how simple it is to create a new block. And once this block has been created, I will then be able to go ahead and say, I can then say, okay, I want this to be visible only to the dynamic content will be only visible to cross-selling customers. So that's how very simple it is. So right now, this is only visible to cross-selling, as you can see right now. You can also do a very quick preview of how it looks like from an inbox perspective. How does it look like on a desktop, and how does this look like from a mobile device? So this is a very simple way for you to start and editing and use a low-code technology without having to spend a lot of resources. So that is one area of doing from a marketing side. Now, there are a couple of ways in which you can generate leads and make things a little bit more efficient. So for example, if you are talking to somebody, so maybe from you were on a conference and or somebody called you, or you were talking to, say, Alexander Wilson in this situation, we can also create low-code business processes and have that docked in here. So for example, I've created two different business processes. One of the business processes is creating a lead from this contact, and the second business process is creating an opportunity from a contact. Now, the reason I've done that is just to show you the ability to have multiple business processes that can do a specific operations. For example, when you're talking to Alexander Wilson, and maybe this is an opportunity for a B2B segment where you have to do a lot more lead nurturing, so therefore you want to create a lead. So you can see that in one click, but just by selecting that option, I've been able to not only create a new lead, but the new lead page opened up, and then when I click save, I'll be able to create a new lead right there. Something went wrong in here just for a second, so let me go to click cancel, and instead try create an opportunity from a contact rather. There you go. So it just picked up everything from that lead record. You can see that Alexander Wilson has been auto-populated, and it also created a new opportunity, put information about when that date was, who was that individual. It automatically pre-populated with what that type was. And then it also created a dynamic case management with additional steps for me. So in one click, I was able to collect all of that information and create an opportunity right there. So this is what we mean by operational efficiencies. Less number of clicks to make sure that as you're talking to the customer, you create these low-code applications or business processes to make operational efficiency tools. So if I click save on this, and then go into the sales side and look at the opportunities, you can see that a new opportunity was created, and then of course I can start progressing this opportunity as well. So what can we do next? So we can start talking about what kind of products you want to add in here. So maybe from a product side, we can add an internet speed, maybe a 1 gigabit speed, or 100 Mbps or 400 Mbps or whatever that may be. Maybe this is for a 12-month contract, so that'll be about $1,200. Now we added that product in. Now we can say that, okay, we verified the need for the product, complete that step, email the proposal to the customer directly from in here, and then basically we are step by step walking you through what needs to happen, and then go into the contract stage, send the contract to the customer, submit it to the order management, and basically every single step is now sequentially walking you through those business processes. So once assuming that everything is completed and the order management has been submitted, then when we go into the closed won opportunity, what we are then going to do is, because the customer wants to have this created an opportunity, you want to create a subsequent lead, we're going to say that, well, once this opportunity has completed, do you want to create a new lead for this particular account or a customer? And if you say answer is yes, what we'll then do is we'll then create a new lead out of that. And you can see that if you go to the new lead section, a new lead was created right about now. If you click open, you will see that Alpha Business and Alexander Wilson has been automatically created with some steps, with the dates to follow up about 7 days from now. So about a week from now, we've already created a follow-up option from the cross-sell perspective. So this is basically how you can customize or create some simple business processes to accelerate changes and drive operational efficiency, so that you're not missing the opportunity to do upsell and cross-sell to customers who just purchase something, and then they become the pipeline for you to create new opportunities. So with that view, let me go ahead and show you how that process was created. So let's first take a look at creating an opportunity from a contact, and then show you how I was able to create a very simple opportunity. So all I have done here is created a simple parameter for contact ID. So, and then when I create a new contact, I am basically saying that whatever that contact ID is, I'm going to attach it to the contact. So basically, I'm only reading that particular contact details. And then I'm going to create a new opportunity record. And then within the opportunity record, I'm going to attach it to the contact that I've read, basically some customer need. You can see that these are all basic, regular English language without having to learn anything fancy. And then I'm attaching a contact in the opportunity, and then basically opening up that opportunity page. That's how simple it is in terms of creating an opportunity directly from the contact. So now once this contact or this business process has been created, I simply have to connect this business process to that custom object. So for that, all I have done is leverage the business section wizard. And when you open up the section wizard, which is basically the page designer for how that page should look like, you'll get an option to select business processes in here. So you select the business processes, and you can dock as many business processes as you want. Remember, when I talked about contacts, there was 2 business processes that came about. One was to create a lead from a contact. The second was to create an opportunity from the contact. And you can create as many as you want. If you created something new, you just have to select whatever that business process is in there. So in this case, what I have done is I've created the business processes in there, and that is expecting a contact ID. And all I have done is to supply that contact ID directly from here. So I've said that for this business process, whatever the ID of the contact is for that selected record, simply pass that. And that's how we are connecting the ID of the contact to the business process. And once you have that, it is very easy for us to do so. So that is some of the basic things, basic ways in which you can create business processes. The second way in which you can create operational efficiency is by using outbound customer service. So in the outbound customer service, basically what we're doing is they provide the ability for customers, customer service agents to follow up on leads that may be that they can follow up on their free time. So for example, typically when they're working on their support cases, they'll be working on cases. So they can simply open up a case, open that up, and then start working on that cases as well. Or in cases of leads, when they have some free time, they can open this lead up and then click open that case up. And then they have the ability to say, who is this customer? And they make a quick phone call using the CTI integration. And if the customer has not been reached or whatever that may be, they can say, okay, you know what, I'm going to postpone this lead to call maybe a week later. Maybe when they reached out to the customer, they said, hey, I'm busy. Why don't you call me at on July 15th at say 1 p.m. or something like that. And then you can click submit, and then that lead is taken down to the bottom of the queue. And then you can simply open up the next one, and then you can start following up on the other one. So maybe you can requeue it and send it back, and then take another one. That's how simple it is to create leads or follow up on the leads in terms of cross-sell opportunities. So this is a great way for customer service agents during their free time to do an outbound lead generations to help the sales team achieve more and more of these opportunities and generate new cross-sell and upsell opportunities as well. Now, the second way in which we can help low-code technologies is going back to that opportunity record. And in here, what we can do is using the section cases, we will be able to create different workflows. And this is one of the most important ones because, for example, with the internet, there may be requirements of having a contract management and installations because you may have to draw in the fiber optics wire into the house. So you may have to work with the field technicians, but typically with the wireless, maybe with the Cricket Wireless or other month-to-month carriers, you may not have a contract management. So within each of these business processes, you can see that when I open up a opportunity, I have different types. So I have wireless, smart Wi-Fi, internet, business, security, and so on and so forth. So all we have done is we have aggregated to say that if it is internet, we're going to follow something. If it is wireless, we'll follow another business processes. And for anything that is not internet or wireless, we will follow something else. So let's take a look at what internet dynamic case management can do. So in this case, we have created different tasks. So you can see that within different tasks, you can also create approvals, you can change the access right, you can send email notifications, or you can call in a business process as well. So like in this case, I've created different tasks in here. And then finally on the closed one approach, I've also called a business process to create a cross-sell lead. So for example, if I open this up, business process, you can now see that we have basically a dialog box where I ask, hey, do you want to create a cross-sell lead? The answer was yes and no. And if the answer is yes, then it follows a different workflow. And if the answer is no, then it follows a different workflow. So the whole idea here is that when a customer calls in about a particular opportunity, then we have the ability to go in and say that you want to, after the opportunity is closed, you want to create a new lead and then set up a task to follow up with 7 days, like I showed you previously. So this is another way for you to create different workflows and then use the low-code technologies to create customized, configurable workflows for different products. So with that, we also understand that the workflows that people create can get very, very complex. So in a new, with a new product called Studio Free, we have created a applications for our customers to work collaboratively with different teams in order to create workflows that may be customizable for their particular needs. So this is a free applications that is available on our website. And you can see that the look and feel over here is very similar to what you can see from the main application itself. So how does this actually work? So here is a very simple sales process that we have created that is available for you. So this is basically very complex workflows with different swim lanes. So maybe the supervisor has to do something, the sales manager has to do something, and there's a workflows that flows back and forth between two different team members. And this is built entirely in the BPMN business process. So if you want to create, and everything is drag and drop. So if you want to add a new task in here, you can do that and then connect it to the workflows, and then come back and do something. So you can create a lot of these kinds of different workflows, and you can also delete them. So the idea here is that you will start working collaboratively with your team, and then start inviting different team members so that whether it is a legal, whether it is a finance team, whether that is a sales team, whether it's inside, outside, marketing, whatever it is, everybody will come together and be able to collaboratively work together. And once the information or the workflow is completed, then you'll be able to go ahead and export this directly as a BPMN, directly into download that as a BPMN. And the BPMN is a standard industry notation. And the best part about this is that once you're done with that, you can simply go in, open up a new business process in the Creatio Enterprise Edition, and then have the ability to import that BPMN directly from downloads in here. Corporate sales process, and then click open. And within no time, the business process that you saw previously from the studio free part, this part has now come in to business process. So now you'll be able to simply save it. Say this is sales process from studio free, and then click save. And then all you have to do then is to simply double click on this and then start assigning what those tasks are. So now you have the workflow built up within each of this. Simply select prepare presentation, say when should this be done. Maybe this should be done in 2 days. Maybe this should be shown in the calendar. This takes about roughly 30 minutes or so to do so. This will be done by the current user. Who should be connected that to? Should that be connected to the account or contact? So basically the whole idea is once you have the template, all you're trying to do is to build it. Now also notice that anything that is not completed is now shown in red in color, so that you know as you start progressively working on it, anything that is not in red in color, those elements have inputs in them. Anything that does not have inputs in them will needs to be filled up. So that's how that's how simple it is to build a business process, a comprehensive business process collaboratively with the different team members. And once everything is nailed down, you'll then be able to export a BPMN business processes from the Studio Free, import it into Studio Enterprise, and then start assigning inputs to them. Now, why am I showing you this, right? This might seem a little bit cumbersome, but the alternative is that a lot of these business processes that you saw in here has been built in Microsoft Visio, or it's on somebody's whiteboard, right? So you can see that as I'm able to export to a BPMN, we also have the ability to import a BPMN. So if there is another program that you have used to create a BPMN business processes, you'll have the ability to import that into Studio Free, make whatever changes it is, and then export it back to Studio Enterprise. That's how simple it is. And I think that's the vision that Creatio has in terms of making a lot of applications that is seamless and make sure that everybody has a good user experience from building complex business processes. So the next one that I want to talk about is the employee onboarding. So the reason I did that is because one of our customers, Evraz, is actually using Creatio from the employee onboarding as well. Now, this employee onboarding can be extended into customer onboarding as well. So when a customer, when an opportunity closes, there is a couple of steps that must be completed in terms of getting the customer onboarded. Maybe it is sending out an email, maybe it is setting up an email account, and sending out a field technicians to finish up the wiring from the cable box all the way to the houses, whatever that may be. Those business processes can be done. So it doesn't have to be strictly limited to sales or service. It can be any custom object that you can create. So over here, what I'm showing you is a employee onboarding processes that that somewhat mirrors what we had done at another company. So as and when new customers come in, employees come in, and keep in mind from a telecom perspective, there is a lot of full-time employees, there's a lot of temporary employees, there's a lot of third-party contractors. So each of them will have different access rights and different ways in which you'll be onboarding them. So whatever that process is, you'll be able to configure that like the way we have done so in terms of certification, in terms of going through necessary trainings and whatever that may be. So here's a very simple business processes for William Walker in this case. As and when the new employee record is done, maybe we can complete that business processes, and then it again pops up a user dialog to say that, hey, do you really want to start an employee onboarding process? And if you select yes, then it will move on to the next stage and start giving you more and more of those different tasks that needs to be done. So in this case, we're going to prepare an employment contract for the new employee, complete that task, and then it'll start assigning different tasks in this case. So for example, if you want to assign equipment to the employee, in terms of what kind of laptops you want to assign that to the employees, or headsets, or wireless headsets, whatever that may be, you can start assigning them one by one. This is a great way for companies to start doing a very sequential way of not only creating a business processes from the sales and marketing side, but also from a non-CRM related as well. So think of Creatio as a low-code platform to build applications that go beyond the CRM side. So, and then you can start working on the remainder of the task one by one, and you'll be able to color code them depending upon whether they need to be done right now, or they're overdue, or whatever that may be. So let's take a look at what does this studio process looks like. Again, the look and feel is exactly the similar as what you can see. Let's go ahead and open that up. This is a little bit more complex business process than what I've shown you in the past from a sales side. It's going to take about a couple more seconds for it to load. And this is a great example of why telecom is important, right? So we have about 4 people using internet on my end. So there's a lot of latency on my end. So this is basically the business process when I started reading the employee data. And then depending upon what needs to happen, 3 different tasks are happening in parallel. When all of them are completed, they go to the next stage. If any of them have been canceled, then we end the business process. We don't want to continue that. And you can see that we are doing a lot of these approvals, and you can see how complex it has been. And then within each of this, we also can call in a business process or a sub process that is a different process. So in other words, if there is another process that can be called multiple times, you can configure that one time and then call them, come back in here, call them in here. This is almost like a subroutine or a sub program concept that you can extend to the business process as well. And you can see that this is a fairly complex business process in terms of employee onboarding. So I just wanted to give you a flavor of what Everaz was doing in terms of employee onboarding, and that is not necessarily have to do anything with sales or service. But also keep in mind that you'll be able to use a lot of these web services. So if there is any interaction with, say, HCM solutions or ERP solutions, whether that be Oracle ERP or Workday or some other third-party applications, you'll be able to call in those web services, send data out, and then get data back in, and so on and so forth. So that is something that you can do in terms of sending data back and forth. So in summary, what I wanted to show you in terms of the demo was to give you a quick preview of what kind of operational efficiency gains that you can do in terms of creating very simple processes of creating a lead generation and opportunity generation directly from business processes, directly from the contacts. And then we walked you through the opportunity management. Within the opportunity, there was different workflows, one for internet, one for wireless, one for non-internet, non-wireless, and within each of that, there was different workflows with business processes. And then I kind of walked you to the Studio Free, where you can work collaboratively to build a very complex business processes in tandem with different members of your organizations and have different swim lanes assigned for that. And once those business process has been authorized, you simply export a BPMN file directly from Studio Free. Bring that Studio BPMN file into Studio Enterprise and then start building your business workflows. And then I also walked you through how customer service can create leads and then follow up on the leads as a queuing object. And then finally, we looked into employee onboarding, which was the Everaz use case. And then from there, I showed you a very complex business process. I hope this was a very high-level overview of various applications and how you can use business processes to not only touch the CRM side, but also non-CRM, all in the hopes of making sure that the telecom companies are being very efficient in controlling cost and then taking the best of the business processes to accelerate sales and marketing efforts to drive new revenue. With that, I'm going to end my demo, and Corey, I'll take any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Nandish. This was really an excellent demo, very helpful to our audience. So thank you. I certainly enjoyed it myself. So why don't we move into some questions now? And I have a couple of questions that we've actually fielded during the session today. So our first question is, do you have successful cases of companies in telecom industries using your software?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have quite a few customer case studies, Everaz, Safaricom in South Africa, and Ukratel in Ukraine that I can think of off the top of my head. From the Everaz perspective, I talked about the employee onboarding. That was the last thing that I mentioned. That's basically what they're using Creatio for. So it's entirely low code. From the Safaricom perspective, it's mostly customer service side that they're using it for. And from Ukratel, they're using it for all of it. So it's mainly marketing, sales, and service, all of that together. So we have quite a few telecom industry companies that are using us.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nandish. Our next question is, how do you identify opportunities to implement low-code technology?
That's actually a great question. So one thing you probably saw from my demo is that we identify niche areas in which we want to go after, right? So we're not trying to build a CRM application in here. Where we tend to do best is on business processes. So for example, the prospect that I was talking to this morning, they don't have a business process, right? So when somebody calls, they simply go into order management, they place the order, and everything was working great until Charter came along, and then they started competing and started taking away their existing customers. So they did not have a visibility into customers that they have lost. And for example, if a customer signed a 12-month contract with them, there was no way they were going to follow up with that customer in, say, month 9 to say that, hey, listen, your 12 months are coming up, you're ready for an upgrade. So that is a business process. So we can create those business processes to say that customer signed a contract, I don't know, like 9 months ago. So hey, here is a notification, here is a lead that is automatically created, and then have the outbound team follow up with the customer to say that, hey, listen, we are going to send in a flyer to you to sign with us with the upcoming iPhone 12, for example. Why don't you upgrade your equipment? Oh, and follow up from the customer service team, outbound customer service team, to follow up with them. So those are some areas that you can do. The other areas that you can do is to automatically segment customers who are having their contract expire in the next 12, 18 months, and then have a proactive touch point with the salespeople. Have it as part of the marketing campaign as well. So those customers are automatically aggregated and then be made part of a bulk email notifications. So you can have a constant communication. So you have to identify some niche areas in terms of customer retention and then also obviously customer acquisition.
Excellent. Thank you, Nandish.
Mm-hmm.
How would you suggest moving from software design the old way to this low-code way?
That is excellent question, actually. So if you are using a previously, a CRM, say from 1990s, say maybe a Siebel or something like that, or EBS or SAP, or some old-fashioned CRM, you can still work with Creatio. I'll be honest with you, we get inquiries from people who use Salesforce as their CRM, and Salesforce is fairly new, right? Or newer, 20 years older, but still compared to Siebel's, it's still brand new. It's new, not brand new. So we do get cases where they say that, hey, we want to do some order management, right, or invoice management as a business processes. So in that case, we will be able to tag team or use web services to pull data from, say, Salesforce or Workday or whatever ERP system it is. Take that, create that custom object in Creatio, and then have defined business processes. And once the information assign tasks to different members, and once those tasks is completed, then we send a signal back to Salesforce to say that, hey, we have done your job, and then for you to complete the remainder of the sales process. So you have to identify niche areas where your existing CRM, for example, may not be able to do things, and do things very creatively. Another example could be we're working with another consulting firm that is using Workday for the HCM and ServiceNow for their IT requirements, and they are looking at Creatio strictly from onboarding processes. So as soon as a Workday a new record gets created, then we will push a Creatio gets a notification. Creatio will then copy that customer record from Workday, only the information that is relevant. Then we'll create a workflow for employee onboarding. And when it comes to laptops, we will then automatically create a case in ServiceNow. And once the laptop is been assigned to that individual from ServiceNow, the case gets closed, a signal can come back to Creatio, and then we'll finish up the remainder of the employee onboarding. So you can get very creative. You're only limited by what you want to accomplish.
Excellent. Thank you, Nandish. Our next question is, can it be aligned seamlessly with existing software and working tools, meaning our low-code platform?
Correct. And the answer is absolutely yes. So I showed you a web service. I did not delve deep into it. We are an open system, and that's where we thrive. We can coexist peacefully in an ecosystem. We understand that, especially from an enterprise accounts, and we're talking about Charter or Comcast or Verizon's of the world. They have their own homegrown systems. They use homegrown CRM systems. They use niche systems at all. So and when Creatio has to come in, and whether that be employee onboarding, order management, invoice management, whatever business processes that you want to think of, or project management, then we'll have to pull data in from multiple systems. So in Creatio, we have open APIs, we have web services. As and when needed in the business process, we'll be able to ping those applications, get the information that we need, synthesize that information, push the information right back. So everything will work seamlessly. And typically in the low-code applications, you are working in an ecosystem of applications. It is never in isolation. So the answer is absolutely yes.
Excellent. Our last question that we have that just came in is low code applicable for someone with no coding background? Can we use low code technology without an IT department?
100%, and actually it is geared towards somebody, I wouldn't say without an IT department, I would say with minimal IT department, right? The reason I say that is because sometimes you may have to integrate with other applications and that is owned by IT. So in that case, yes. So for the most part of it, Creatio's superpower, and I think you talked about it, Corey, is the low code and the business processes, right? And the idea is that everything is being done by the business user. So typically, the Creatio administrator is either the sales manager or the sales enablement team. One of those two will be managing the Creatio applications. It is never the IT. So because I showed you in Studio Free that everything is drag and drop, and then you export a BPMN, you bring that into Studio Enterprise, and you simply have to double click on a task and then put everything in simple English. There is no programming required. I myself, I'm not a developer. And one of the key requirements in Creatio is that when salespeople come on board, they are expected to do a demo. And this is salespeople we're talking about, and they have no sales, they have no development experience whatsoever. And most of them can do that with 2 or 3 days worth of experience, right? And of course, keep in mind that we don't let people hanging around. There's a lot of resources that we provide them. For example, there is a strong academy with lots of documentations and examples. There is also training, self-guided training that is available for free. That our customers can go in our website, and there's also a strong community of citizen developers that we have. So, for example, you can go to our community, pose a question, and very likely somebody would have done that in the past, and then they can give you that access or give that snippet of the code that you can simply use in, or you can go to our marketplace and download a lot of free templates that you can download and then make modifications from that point forward. As a matter of fact, when it comes to employee onboarding or vacation request or time offs or recruitment or any other business processes, you can simply go to our marketplace, download, and use that as a starting point rather than start from scratch.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Nandish, for leading such a great demo and discussion today. Thank you so much to our participants who joined the webinar this afternoon. We look forward to having you on future Creatio webinars. And just a reminder for all of those of you who have registered for the webinar today, we will be following up with a recording of the session and look forward to having you on Creatio webinars coming up this season. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Corey. My pleasure.